Alex here. I want to talk about 7 costly mistakes that I was making early on in this college recruiting process. And thankfully, I was able to turn this around and was fortunate that I actually had somebody come into my life who was a former D1 coach and player. He was a family friend that helped guide and direct me going through this college recruiting process. And now I've come full circle, and that is what I do. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Alex Swinson. I'm a former Division I college coach, scout, and a recruiter with 11 years of experience. And now what I do is help high school baseball players and their parents navigate this college recruiting process and put them in the best possible position to play at the next level. So if you get anything from this video, please smash that like button right down here and subscribe to either my channel or my podcast. Please leave a review as well. It helps me get the word out to get guys to the next level. I had such a great college experience playing at the Division I level, and it doesn't have to be D1. It could be D2, D3. These experiences are amazing that I'm just trying to give that back to as many guys as I possibly can. If you're interested and maybe need help going through this, because it's hard to know what you don't know going through this recruiting process, and you want to talk to me and see if this is a good fit, you can visit my website right down here. I'll leave it down in the description as well. But let's get into number 1. One of the biggest mistakes that I was making earlier on was I was relying on my summer travel organization. All right, it's gotten even worse these days because these organizations, and don't get me wrong, like there's some good organizations out there for sure, but man, it's becoming fewer and fewer now, and these tournaments are so massive. So this is a big mistake that I made, and a lot of people are making right now. It's just they go out to these tournaments with their travel ball organization, and then there's hundreds and hundreds of players in these organizations, and even sometimes in the thousands now. So they can't really specifically help the individual players going, but you'll go out to these tournaments. I think Perfect Game had a tournament this past year that was like 400 teams at that tournament. You're not getting any exposure to these college coaches, so you're just relying on just going out and kind of hoping to be found. That is a big theme, and one of those here of things that you need to avoid is just hoping to be found. Number 2 is the lack of an exposure plan. All right, college coaches can't recruit players that they don't know about. Right, they need to know about you. They need to be able to see you and learn more about you. So you need to have a good exposure plan going through that. Don't again just sit back and wait to be found. That is not the way to go about this. Number 3, passively hopeful mindset. That is what I am calling it right now. Is you're basically relying on luck to be discovered. All right, doing this on your own is about a 7.2% success rate. All right, those odds are really against you. So if you're just sitting back and hoping to be found, you're going to get missed. Now, of course, there's this saying out there that people say, and it's really bad advice, okay? And it is, if you're good enough, they will find you. And the problem with that is it's partially true, but it's also partially false, because I see it all the time, right? So yeah, of course, if you throw 95 miles an hour, yeah, they're gonna find you. And you hit 15 home runs in your high school season, yeah, they're going to find you. But if you're an athlete like me, which a lot of athletes are good athletes, not elite. I wasn't elite by any means. I needed help getting exposure. I wasn't just going to be discovered because I wasn't going to wow you with my metrics. I was just a really good baseball player, but I'm kind of undersized. And again, I'm not going to hit 15 home runs. I'm not going to throw 95 miles an hour. I was just a good athlete that could help a team win, but I needed help getting discovered there. So making sure of that. Number 4, looking in the wrong places. So there's a couple mindsets on this is, hey, D1 or bust mentality. I started off with a D1 or bust mentality and luckily started to diversify my school list and got a lot more interest. Because if you think about it, if you're only going after the Vanderbilts or the Stanfords, the Tennessees, the Texas, the Floridas, those are the most competitive, and our athletic standards have to be so high that you could easily play maybe at a Division I mid-major level, which is very high competition. D2, very high competition. D3, very high competition. There's a Division III school that beat a Division I school this past year 13-3. They run ruled them. They had to stop the game. All right, there's good competition everywhere. So expand your horizon and don't just have the D1 or bust mentality. On another note, too, you need to start targeting schools that are recruiting your position, because not every school is in need of your position. This is where some people going through the recruiting process, the blind leading the blind. It's hard to know what you don't know. So targeting the right schools that are in need of your son's position is massive. All right. Number 5, waiting too long to start. There's two things that we're fighting in this recruiting process. It's time and roster spots available. There's only so much time. We're in high school, and then there's a window in high school that we can be recruited, and most things happen. I suggest that you start going after a sophomore year. You get the ball rolling definitely sophomore year. There's some cases where you can get started freshman year, but there's some schools, like some of the bigger schools, are looking freshman year and they want to see a guy progress all the way through. So getting the ball rolling. Don't be late on this recruiting process, because if you're late, you're falling behind all the people that they have on their whiteboard. All these college coaches, they have big whiteboards. When I was recruiting, we'd have a big baseball field and all of the positions, and we would have like the players' names that we're looking at, that we needed to see, that we're going to offer, and that we needed to see one more time maybe. All of those things. We have them starred, all of those things going through that. You want to get on that board earlier than later, okay? Earlier than later, because your spot could be taken. So get the ball rolling going through this recruiting process. Number 6, not following up with coaches. This is massive. So people will send out, maybe it's an email, maybe it's direct message, and maybe it's a text, and you get crickets at first. That is pretty common, actually. And sometimes college coaches, they can either be very busy. Some of these coaches, honestly, are not the best organized, right? And they need you to follow up with them to ultimately help them be organized. I've seen it time and time again, myself included, going through this recruiting process, when I was getting traction as far as, hey, following up with players, because I remember seeing emails, I'm like, I'm not getting anything back. And then I would start following up with them finally and start getting traction on that second, third, fourth, fifth time. I've seen guys in my clients, like, fifth time following up, it's like, hey, so sorry, I've been meaning to get back to you. Or, hey, been watching you and we're ready to move, take this to the next step. Make sure you follow up with coaches. Very, very important. Number 7, not creating an online presence. All right, this is recruiting video and social media. Recruiting video is your best tool to get exposure, because you could send a couple clicks as far as sending out emails, and now a bunch of college coaches can watch a good highlight video. We want to make sure we have a good highlight video. And then social media, if you're doing it the right way, you can get a lot of exposure there, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on X. Make sure you create an online presence, because it's a very efficient way to get exposure going through that. And that is the name of the game, getting your name out there. If you have any questions or you would add anything, please comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.